Today's webinar is going to talk about access and the data manager role. We're going to get into the KReady and talk a little bit about how you load information into that system. And then we'll talk a little bit about reports today. We'll provide you with some detail about some reports that are going to be beneficial to you here in the beginning of the window, in the middle of the window, and talk about what's available to you at the end of the assessment window, and then share some information about supports for you. So let's begin. We're going to talk about access to the KReady system as an assessment data manager. So it's important for you to note that we understand that your role as a data manager in this program may be different than your role in other programs. We know that as a data manager, your job title and overall responsibilities may differ from district to district, and they may include things such as the district test coordinator, AMIS coordinator, you might be a building administrator, and many others. For this program, the assessment data manager is the individual who has access to teacher and student demographic information in the KReady system. Data managers are responsible for adding and managing teachers, students, and enrollment data in the system, as well as exporting teacher-collected student scores and ratings for reporting. In order to access the system, you must first be identified as an assessment data manager, preschool and kindergarten in OEDS prior to having access to the KReady system as a data manager. To do this, you can visit the OEDS page on the Ohio Department of Education site for information regarding how to be added as an assessment data manager, preschool and kindergarten for your location. Once you are set up as an assessment data manager, preschool and kindergarten in OEDS, you need to reach out to the help desk to have your account set up. You will receive an email once the account is ready. The link that is available in the email will expire after 24 hours. Be sure to check your spam folder if no message is received in the appropriate time frame. You can also contact the help desk for assistance with this process. For programs licensed by the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services who are not established in the Ohio Department of Education's directory system, the data manager can be assigned to any administrator listed in the Ohio Child Licensing and Quality System, OCLQS. There are three ways to get data into the system. One is manually. Typically that's done one person at a time, whether that be a student, an administrator, or a teacher. You can also enter using the bulk loader, and that's designed to enter data in mass amounts, so more than one person at a time. And there's an automated process. This is usually and typically reserved for larger school districts that have lots of locations and they need to load great amounts of data. In order to do this, specifically with the bulk loader, there are templates that we use, and those templates can be found at the dataguidelines.kready.org location. And there are two ways of thinking about this. As a data manager, of templates that are required to load information for teachers, students, and enrollments. The location administrator templates are used as needed. For unenrollments, you would do that on a case-by-case basis. The teacher, student, and enrollment templates are all required for administration. The teacher template has the district ID, the teacher ID, the school ID, the teacher's email, the teacher's first and last name, and it's fairly straightforward. Next, the student templates. First, we'll talk about the early learning assessment. For the student template, there are two types of templates. One is a required template, which is the information that's required to function in the system. And then there's an all fields template where there are additional demographic fields that are needed. In the early learning assessment, you could use just the required fields template in order to kind of manage the information in the system. And for that, you would just need the district ID, the student number, the school ID, the student's first and last name, and date of birth. While the district ID is not necessarily required or needed, the state student ID is required in order to add the student in the system. This is a little bit different for the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment student template. Here, you do need to use the all templates instead of the required template, specifically the disability IEP in column W and English learner ELLEP in column Z. Next, we'll talk about the enrollment template, and the piece that we want to really call out here is the data collection in column A. That data collection token must be added in order for the template to function. This template is used to join the student and the teacher and connect them to the current assessment. And so here you see an example of the data collection token. This is just an example to show you where that data collection token should be added. The location administrator template is used in an as needed basis to load the principal or the building administrator to the system so they have access to view reports as well. We certainly encourage all data managers to load the building principals so that they can have access and they can be a part of the assessment and work with their teachers in the building, and they can assist you to make sure that the teachers are following through and entering the data. So we encourage you to add all of your building administrators to the system as well. To do that, you would just need the district ID, the school ID, and the administrator's email. As you download these templates and use them, you are reminded to not remove or change any of the headers. You need to format the cells so that the leading zeros are present. The KReady system must have the leading zeros associated with those IDs, whether they be the student ID, the district ID, that must be accompanied with the leading zeros. The date of birth column must be formatted as well with month, day, and 4 digits for the year. Each field should be separated by commas. We use a comma separated value to load, or CSV. Also, you should see the data guidelines in the KReady system manual for additional formatting information and tips. There may be a need to update teacher data. That teacher data is linked by email address. So for instance, if a teacher's name changes, maybe they got married over the summer, or maybe something happened and they needed to change their name, their account is linked by email. So if that email changes and their name changes, that information needs to be updated. Likewise, student data is linked by the state student ID. And so when loading students, you must be sure to use the correct student ID to ensure that that linkage is occurring.
So one of the first things I want to show you here is when you log in as a data manager, say you want to add a teacher. I want you to go to your users on your left-hand side, select the green button that says add users. We are going to go ahead and put in just a generic one just to show you here. Go to your initial location, pick your location, select the role of teacher. That's very important because you want to make sure each person that you add has that role. Add email address. And when you do it manually, you do need to set up their password. So you want to let the teacher know that. Once that's done, you want to select Save and Open. Here you're going to see the details of the teacher. Go to your Organizations tab, and you want to make sure that you add their teacher credential ID. So you select that button. Now the teacher credential ID is going to be 2 letters and 7 digits. And you can also use a teacher's email address, but whatever you use here, you got to make sure you use on your templates as well. They need to be the same. Select Save, and you're going to see that your user ID is getting updated right now for that user. The next thing I want to show you is adding a student manually. One of the first things too, as well, is making sure you have and you know where to find your data collections, because you will need to attach that to your students. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see data collections. And here you will see the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment, and currently the winter one is open, but the fall one will be opening for the early learning assessment on August 15th. So a couple more days and you'll see the token for the ELA. This is what you're going to use. But now we're going to go ahead and add a student manually. So on the left-hand side, you want to go to your organizations, select View Districts, select View Locations next to where the student needs to be added, then select View Students. This will have a list of all of your current students in that location. Now we're going to add a student. From here, we're going to select Add Student, Again, the SSID number. So you will get that from your EMIS coordinator. You want to go ahead. A student cannot be added without that number. Again, it's going to be 2 letters and 7 digits. I'm going to type in the first name. Middle name is optional. But as you can see, I'm just doing Garfield the cat. So we're going to go ahead, select the gender, select the race. From there, you want to go ahead and put in the birth date. So it's 08/01/2015. So make sure that format is correct. It's 0 before the 8 or the 1. If the student has a disability code, you want to go ahead and mark that there. They are English language learner. And since we have a disability code, we're going to go ahead and just select yes. You want to make sure those are both the same, the IEP or the disability code. Once that's done, select save and open. Here is the details of the student you just added. Just because you added them does not mean that they are automatically attached to the teacher. You got to do a couple more steps. You're going to go to the Enrollments tab, and we are going to assign a teacher. You find your teacher's name, select assign, and finished. And you can see your teacher is getting assigned. Again, we're going to do one more step. Just because we assign a teacher does not mean that they're going to see them on the roster. You have to do the data collection assignment. So when a teacher comes and says they don't see a student attached to them, and a data manager says, no, I clearly see Garfield's attached to you. If they don't see it, it means that data collection is not assigned. So to assign that manually, click assign and finish. Now the student is completely enrolled and will now be seen by the teacher on their roster. All right, so now the next thing I want to do is go through the bulk loader process, like was discussed earlier. And we are going to go through each one of these, the templates on how you do that. You can find these templates as well in the KReady system. On the left-hand side, you want to go to templates, select your template type, students. Now you've got an all fields and you've got a required fields. So of course the all field is, like it says, all the fields will be in there for you to do. Required fields just does the minimum in order to add the student. We encourage you for the KRA, you want to use that all fields because you want to make sure if there's any disability codes, IEP, English language learning, you want to make sure you have that. So for time purposes, I went ahead and did a couple, and we're going to go through that formatting as well. So you've got your district ID and you've got your school ID. Both of these columns, need to be formatted correctly. So we're going to highlight a column, select format cells. On the left-hand side, go down to custom. Underneath general, select that first 0. And I put my cursor back up there and I type in an additional 5. So you want a total of 6 zeros. So that leading IRN number, a lot are 04, 05. So you want to make sure that leading 0 stays. You're going to do the same thing with column D, your school ID. Format cells, custom, select that first 0, and then type in an additional 5. Hit save. The other column formatting wise is the date of birth. And as we did for the manual upload of a student, you want to format this to have that 0 before the 8. So we're just going to, I do custom again, I do back to the 0. And what I do is delete that 0 and I type in that MM/DD/YYYY and then hit save. This is now going to show the 08, the 02, and then that 2015. Now, the last column that needs to be formatted is going to be this disability code. It goes 1 to 15. So you want to have that leading 0. So it's going to be a 01. We're going to do the same thing that we did for the others. Format cells, go down to custom, select that first 0, and just type in an additional 0. Hit OK. And now you're going to see that as a 01. Once that's done, make sure you save it as a CSV. And what I do is I just minimize this. I go back to my bulk loader. I select upload students, the template type. I find exactly where that file is. Let's see, student training. That's exactly what I did it. And select upload. You're going to see your file is going to be in processing status. You can refresh your screen and you're going to see 3 additions and that student file came back as complete. Now the student and the teacher templates, those you can either do one or the other, first or second. Those ones are fine, but you cannot upload an enrollment template until the teacher and student one is complete. So we're going to do the teacher one, select all fields. Again, for time purposes, I went ahead and did one here. You're going to fill in the teacher ID, put in their information. Again, make sure you format these two columns. Column A, which is the district ID, and you would do the same thing for column C. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to upload this teacher file, select the green button, find exactly where you saved the file, select upload. Refresh your screen, and you will now see that that additional teacher is added, came back complete. So your very last file now is going to be this enrollment file. So you want to go to your templates, enrollments, select all fields, and we will pull up this enrollment template here. So you're going to have that data collection as that first column. Again, remember that that is located right on the left-hand side, and you will see that enrollment token there, that data collection token. You're going to format your column B, your column E, and your date of birth column. Same thing that we've done on the other ones. So for the date of birth, again, it's month, day, year, year. Select OK. So now we have attached, we've got the teacher information, we've got the student information, and that data collection to attach them together. Upload file, go down to your enrollments. Okay, so what you're going to see here is a little different. You've got a box here that says unenrolled students by. This is automatically unchecked. So let's say you check this. This is a couple like an unenrollment. So if you do a by student, it's more of a partial. You want to kind of clean up. Let's say you uploaded the file and you want to remove those five of those students from a teacher. So this is more of like unattaching. So you can do it by student or by district. But what we're doing is just uploading the students as a regular enrollment file. So you don't have to worry about this section here. You want to select your file and select upload. Once you refresh your screen, it could take up to 24 hours in queued processing status. So if it's still over 24 hours, you definitely want to give a help desk call. But now you can see it has gone through. So we have those 3 students now attached to those teachers. So that teacher will now see those students in their roster.
She talked about adding teachers, adding students and enrollments, and managing how to unenroll manually. It walked us through some items with the bulk loader, how to add teachers, students, and enrollments via the bulk loader, how to manage unenrollments via the bulk loader, and how to access the data collection ID token. So now I'm going to talk just a little bit about automated data loading. I mentioned that this is typically reserved for some larger districts. There are a couple of options there. The first is something called the File Watcher, which is a desktop application, and it's designed for automated uploads. And again, it's recommended for larger districts. This simplifies the process by automatically checking user-created folders that contain the system template types that we've been talking to you about. So these folders would contain the student template or teacher template or enrollment templates. The system checks for updates to these templates and then loads these updates to the KReady system on a regular basis. So there's a schedule that's set, and that the file watcher simply watches the file and goes and checks to see if there are changes made. Those transactions are then viewable on the bulk loader screen. The file watcher is available for PC and Linux systems. This provides a little bit of detail of where you can find the file watcher if you, again, are a larger district and feel that this might be of benefit to you. The other system that is available for, again, larger loads would be SFTP, which stands for Secure File Transfer Protocol. Again, this is an integration with your student information system, and it's another way to add data directly into the system. If this is something of interest to you, contact the help desk and we can assist you with getting that set up directly.
So the following reports, this is for the early learning assessment reports. There are 3 different reports you can pull for the early learning assessment: the data downloads report, the SKB ratings report, and the learning progression report, and for EMIS. So as you can see, each one of these different, you get different information on each. The data downloads you want to use to confirm and basically check over any data that has been uploaded into the KReady system to make sure maybe the student's active, it's attached to the correct teacher, point of authority. So you can use this, again, during and after the assessment. The SKB ratings report is used to basically monitor any items that have been scored by the teacher during this assessment window for any of the items. So this will have a list of all 72 SKBs and any score that has been added by the teacher. The learning progression report is that final report that will have those 10 learning progressions in a report that this is what you would submit to EMIS. We're going to go back to this KReady system. We're going to go back on the left-hand side, and I want to show you how to pull that data downloads reports. Again, this is a very more of a managerial report that is going to show you anything that has been added to the system for the specific data collection. So go on the left-hand side of reports, select your drop down. We're going to go all the way down to system reports. It says data downloads. Now here, again, this is one that you can use for the early learning. You can also use this for the kindergarten readiness assessment. You can use this for both. This is very important that, just checking over. One of the things I love to do is the enrollments one. This shows you a little more to make sure that these students are attached to the correct teacher. You pick your data collection. You can pick your district, or if you want to specifically look at a location, you can do that as well. Here, we're just going to do a district one. Says your report has now been successfully requested. Once that comes, you want to go ahead and select the download. We're going to open this up because I want to show you this as a data manager. I feel that this is important to show. These are going to be the student information, the student name, their date of birth. Now you're going to have who they are attached to. And one of the things here that I think is important, of course, is that active. Are they active? If a teacher is not attached to a student, that student is inactive. They will not show active on your report. So always make sure that these say yes. If not, you want to go back in and adjust that. Point of authority, you want to go ahead and anything like that, you want to go ahead and adjust. Report. So again, that SKB ratings report, this is going to help you monitor what items have been completed during the assessment window. Select your data collection, select your start and end date. So for the start, for the winter one, you want to do whatever the start of that assessment date is. So since I picked that winter one, we're going to go ahead and go to the correct one here, which is actually, November 15th. And the end date for the winter collection is February 14th. You select your location. You can select your district if you want to look over your district, or if you have multiple districts, you can select your region. Again, you're going to generate that report. It's going to show it's been successfully requested. The reports, the next one's for the kindergarten readiness report is the kindergarten readiness, or KRA, percentage completion report. And this is going to provide a percentage of the direct performance and observation items for each student. So it's going to monitor that progress of any students that have completed the assessment by the teacher and or location. The next one is the KRA completion by item. And this one is going to show, again, it's used to monitor any items that have been completed by each student. So both of those reports are available during and after. The last one there is that language and literacy report. And this is used to monitor the language and literacy scores for each student. And again, this is going to be available both during and after the assessment. Now, real quick, I do want to show you at least how to pull the kindergarten percentage completion report here. Percentage completion report, KRA. Select your data collection. And again, you can do it by location, by district. We're just going to do a teacher report, select download, and you will see what the percentage is completed for each teacher. These teachers here, this one, teacher 6 hasn't done anything. So as a data manager, I'm going to reach out to them and say, I know you've been doing the assessment, but you need to get the scores entered. The next set of reports is the KRA student and enrollment report. And so this is used to verify students and teacher connections, make sure that they're connected. This is again available during and after. The KRA domain data report. And this is used to monitor items that have been completed. So it does show the domains with the student scores, and then it does the total points calculated for each of those domains. Again, this is used during and after. The data downloads is one that we just did for the early learning. But again, you do that for both assessments. And the last two reports available for the kindergarten readiness assessment is the KRA scaled score report. This is only available after the assessment closes. So, and this is used to submit that KRA data the student scores over to email. And the other one here is the KRA ISR report. So this is designed more for sharing with your parents, pulling down that PDF. And again, this is available after.
All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about support. So we do want to make you aware that the Ohio Department of Education's website section on early learning is a great place to start for information regarding the assessments, especially if you're new to this process. There you will find guidance on policy and procedures, as well as other information that can assist you as an assessment manager and others engaged in the assessment work. If you have additional questions about policy and practice, you can get those questions answered by sending those questions to the links there listed for early learning and kindergarten readiness assessments. In addition to the ODE site, the help desk site provides technical assistance for KReady, as well as training and support resources. For answers to questions, you can contact the help desk. For best results, we recommend that you go to the website www.ohio-k12.help and that you open up a help desk ticket by finding your program name and entering a description of the problem or issue or question. And then we'll respond to that. If you prefer, you can also reach us by phone at 844-512-6446 or 844-K12-OHIO. If you go to the landing page at ohio-k12.help and you click the Ready for Kindergarten Online System Support, it's going to bring you to this main page. As a data manager, if you scroll down, you'll find that this is organized for you by role. So if you click on the data manager support, it brings you to a section designed just for you. Here you'll find information about trainings and resources. We talked about the formatting of the leading zeros. I know we kind of sped through that a little bit, but if you want to, you can always come to the site and click on that link for formatting. And not only do we have the step-by-step available for you, but there's a video that will walk you through the process as well. In addition, we've organized the materials based upon where you are in the assessment. So at the top, you have getting started here, and these are the materials that we think are beneficial to you, specific to getting started. Towards the middle, you have managing the assessment. This is information that we think is important for you as you're monitoring the assessment and working with the building administrators and teachers to kind of get those scores entered and collected. And then we have reporting the data, which is information that you'll need towards the end of the assessment window. In addition to that, we've got videos and resources there specific to KRA and ELA. Click on Request Support. And here, if you know your IRN or your school name, you can put either in the box here, and that will allow you to locate your building or locate your district. And then here, you just click on Submit Request, and it will pre-populate your information. You just put in the remaining fields and your question. You can actually upload a screenshot. All of that detail provides us with the information we need to help get the answers and responses to questions that you might have. Wanted to talk briefly here about the timeline. August the 9th, that's grayed out because the webinar is happening right now. Coming up next is the data collections. For KRA, it's the first active day of school. For ELA, it's going to be August the 15th. That's when the window opens for the fall data collection. We're going to have another webinar called the Close Down webinar. For KRA, that's going to happen on October 21st. For ELA, that's going to happen on November the 3rd. The data collection closes for KRA on November the 1st and for ELA on November 15th. The data cleanup period is going to end for KRA on November the 9th, about 8 days after the close of the window, and then for the same for ELA on November 23rd. And then the reports will be available for KRA sometime in late November and for ELA sometime in early December. And if you have questions, we're here to help. We're here to support you. We look forward to doing that. Thank you very much and have a great day.